Hello everybody, welcome to another trading session for February 13th. We're going to get started here right now and discuss the markets here a little bit. It's news trading week, and we're just coming off the heels of a pretty decent week last week where we had seen the US dollar index pop out of a nice downward trending position here. Did a little bit of a retracement, and now we're starting the week off bearish as we had discussed. I don't know if any of you had a chance to have a peek into our weekly look ahead videos for on the website at f45trading.com. But if you had, we would have you would have known that we had discussed this. Myself and a couple of our analysts had predicted a movement back down towards the lows on the US dollar index, so we're kind of seeing the script sort of come into fruition here. And we'll expect a little further move to the downside on the US dollar index before I believe it'll resume higher, if that is the overall intended goal. So we got to watch that in London. The London session here will be the one that will determine whether or not we continue higher or resume lower. So with that, tonight we'll just briefly, I won't discuss the Euro USD. I've got one of our analysts is going to be putting out a signal for this evening, and we'll be probably online to discuss this a couple hours into London Open. Once the market develops a little bit, he'll be a little closer to the market, and if you are part of our live trading group, and are getting live signals from our F45 broadcast channel on Telegram, then you will be able to take part in that signal going out. I won't be discussing it on here because again, he is going to be handling that. So we'll move on and we'll come back to the Euro USD. He'll talk a little bit more about it in tomorrow's London session, and then I'll talk a little bit more on Thursday. Pound dollar, we will be going through and looking at some areas, some potentials, logical areas for a trade on this as well, and we'll discuss a little bit about the pound dollar. UJ, we'll talk a little about. US CAD, I'll briefly touch on. Aussie dollar, we'll talk a little bit about this as well too. Not going into too much depth. It's actually coming up to a nice level here now. I'll discuss crude oil and Bitcoin, and I might touch on a couple of commodities, but that's pretty much about it for tonight. I'm going to keep tonight's session short and sweet and to the point, so let's get after it. US dollar index, as I was saying before, we had price had come down, taken out the previous swing low that it created back here in September. It traded through it, and there was another low. This price had taken out a previous swing low. So what you've got here is you've got, I'll just mark it out here so you can see, you've got price creating a low, and then a lower low, and then a lower low, and then a lower low, and now here we are again at a lower low here. So you can see price is clearly in a bearish trend after this short move upward. Price is in a nice bearish trend. We could have more to go, so just keep that in mind. If you've been part of my live sessions here, you would have heard me say before that this downtrend here, a slight retracement, and then the continuing downtrend here brought us to a logical area where price should have bounced. It has done that. Now, depending on how high we want to go is going to tell us how far this thing will retrace. One of two things is going to happen. It's going to be a short retracement. It's going to roll over. It's going to continue to the downside, of which the highs over here are our first target. Actually, I'm sorry, I should correct myself. This low right there on the bottom of this candle, let me get rid of this. This low right here is going to be the first target, and then the next target will be right here. So we got to wait and see what is going to happen. I personally think we're going to see it go up a bit higher here before it continues down, and I discussed my reasons for that before. I'm not going to get into that here, but if that is the case, let's zoom in here. You can see, as I mentioned before, 100 times over, price trades from consolidation to consolidation. So what we've got here is we've got price coming in, consolidated, dropped, consolidated, dropped, consolidated, popped out, and it's tested the top of this consolidation area once, twice, and then it's expanded higher. And then the next area, we're back into another small consolidation area up here. The next consolidation area is going to be up probably around here, same. And then if it wants to get higher than that, the next one will be, somewhere up in this area in here. So that's what I foresee price to do going forward if we get continued bullish movement. And today will be the day that will basically tell us whether that's going to happen or not. I shouldn't say today for sure. It'll be either today or Wednesday's trading that will confirm it. Sometimes price, you will get a reversal on Wednesdays. So you'll have, let's just say for instance, just for argument's sake, we create a nice big bearish candle down here. This is Tuesday's trading. Wednesday's trading wants to come down and trade. So you know what, let me do this. Okay, so assume this is a bear candle. So let's say this is today's trading right here, okay? Price comes down, creates a bearish candle, okay? It then comes down onto Wednesday, and I don't know where it's going to land, but let's just say for argument's sake, this is what happens. What could happen is you could get reversals on Wednesday, so price will come down, and it'll actually look like kind of like a pin bar. But price will come down, it'll open up here, and it'll expand down, and then you'll see a reversal, and then it'll actually finish higher on the day on Wednesday. So technically Wednesday does create the low, but that's the day you see the reversal on. So anyway, what I'm trying to drive at here is one of two things is going to happen. It's either if we are going to continue to see price move upward, today more than likely will be the day that it reverses. I've kind of got a level here marked out. I'm going to drill down to a lower time frame so you can see this a bit better. I'm kind of thinking more so in here that price is going to reverse at. If it doesn't want to stop here, then this would be the next level. And if it wants to break down here, then I'm going to assume, unless we get a big down day today on the dollar, which it's not typical, and you don't get massive trading days. One ATR, standard ATR on that's a big day, 140 pips. That's a pretty big day. Sorry, that's not a day. This is a day. So this, for instance, this would be a big day. So that's an 80 pip movement on the day for the US dollar index. That's a big day. If we got another one of those big days down, 80, that would take us kind of below the market rate here. And then that would be down below here. And then we might see price potentially bounce off of this area. So really there's a couple things I'm looking for. We're not taking any trades on it yet because A, we don't know if this is a short pullback and then a run higher, or B, if it's going to continue lower and how much lower is it going to go before it does see the reversal. When your week starts out, you typically have a week that looks like this. And I think I might have explained this before. So let's just say, for argument's sake, that this is an up week, okay? So this is so if this is the weekly view, let's see if I can get the right color too. That's pretty close. So let's just say this is your week, okay? Bear with me one sec, guys, and this will make sense once I'm done explaining it. Okay. Now what's going to happen, this is your open right here. Okay. So right where this candle starts, that big green candle, that's your open. And this is your close up here. I think we all know how candlesticks work. What I'm driving at here, though, is on the weekly range, assume this is a weekly candle, okay? The week will finish up, but in order to put this wick in that you see here, it has to trade down, okay? So typically the week will start out, and just pretend this is a weekly bar chart or graph or whatever, line chart, okay? Monday's trading, Tuesday's trading, Wednesday's trading, Thursday, Friday, something to that effect, okay? And if you assume this is where the week open, down here, open, it wicks down here, and then it closes up here, okay? So that's kind of what I'm driving at. So that's what I believe we're seeing here. I want to see further continuation higher on the US dollar index, and I believe we're going to get that here today. So we're going to see price decline Monday, which it did, Tuesday, which is today's trading, which will be this wick, and it should create the low sometime in the next, I don't know, 3 hours. Ish. I think it'll happen before New York, but there's no guarantee on that. Sometimes during New York, so we're currently right now, so it's just about 12:30 New York time right now. New York opens at 6:30. I'm sorry, 8:30 in the morning. So we're about 8 hours away from now. The low, if that's what's going to happen here, the low will be put in probably right around here, around the 1300 GMT, 1400 GMT, and then you've got New York Open happening over here. So what I'm expecting is price to further decline, and I don't know where it's going to stop. It could stop here at this red line here at this consolidation area and not want to go any lower and then start going higher, or it could stop down here in this consolidation area. But I am predicting price to stop at one of these two levels, and we will be looking for reversals in those areas, and then looking for price to come eventually and finish back up. I'd like to see price on the week finish up above this consolidation area, and hopefully above this blue line. See, we're back in this old low over here. I'd like to see price penetrate and push through that this week. So that's if that theory works, because basically price started trading off. If you look at the 1 hour, this was Monday's trading. Price has opened, came up, and started to trade lower right off the hop almost on Monday. Monday's trading here. So that kind of leads me to believe there was a small little gap in here which they wanted to come up and fill before dropping lower. But it just sort of leads me to believe that they're running this thing low as quick as possible in order to soak up all this liquidity. Again, Monday, Tuesday trading, and then hopefully we'll see the reversal come in after today, do something like this, and then we're looking higher. So without having to beat that horse to death any longer, if you got any questions about that, I've got the chat up above me. Feel free to ask a question. I can do my best to try to answer it. That's what we're looking to happen, and I'm looking for that to happen today, with the caveat that it could happen tomorrow, and it could also come down a little bit lower. So just bear that in mind, okay? Now let's bring up a big piece of the puzzle. that you should always watch ahead of time before markets open so you know what's coming. Okay, jump on over to forexfactory.com to get your daily dose of the market news calendar. So I'll expand the week and let's have a look what we have on tap. So we got some low impact euro news, some high impact CPI numbers for the pound sterling, two medium impact news, some low impact news. We could see some movement on the pound dollar today, so we'll look at that. There is some medium and light low impact news on the US dollar before markets open. This Masters clown is speaking here. And then on Wednesday, we've got lots of euro coming up on Wednesday. Lots of euro on Wednesday. Could see some big movement on the euro come Wednesday. And then we've got some high impact news here. So here's the thing, guys. You see these news events here? Again, just kind of going back to the 50-50 scenario. Don't mind that. We could have markets, the US dollar, because of all that US dollar index news, we could have the US dollar wanting to make that reversal on Wednesday. So you got to kind of be cognizant of that. We may not get the lows today. The lows may come in on Wednesday. So what they could do is just consolidate this. Let me put it this way. I like this area in here for a reversal. I don't believe price needs to come back down and trade back down to these levels again, only because it did it in here a couple of times and then prices expanded away. So also you got to look up here. You see these guys here? It's a double top. Market makers love to think, make it look like, to retail traders, that a double top is a topping formation and that price is never going to come up to there, and this is support, or I'm sorry, resistance up here. And I'm here to tell you right now that that is a false security, because everybody then stacks their orders up here. All of their buy orders are up here. They all go short. They pull the market down just to snap it back and grab all the liquidity above here. The name of the game is, where's the liquidity at? As you can see, prices come down here. It's traded softer, failure swing, expanded out of this consolidation area, came back down, retested the consolidation area, and expanded out again. So you've probably heard of the breakout retest theory. That's exactly what you've got here. You've got price doing a price running up to here, and then subsequently it's coming back and doing a retest to the top of this consolidation area here, and then continuing higher from there. So it's a break, retest, breakout strategy. So that leads me to believe that we're going to see higher prices because they really work this area. If they didn't want to come, if they wanted to come back down to this area, why would they go through the charade of coming all the way back up to the middle of this consolidation area, this green line basically, and then not coming higher and taking any liquidity up here, and then just coming back lower? They've already been down here. They've soaked up all the liquidity down here for the interim. So what I'm thinking again is they're breaking it out, they're coming back, they're consolidating in line with this consolidation over here. Again, consolidation to consolidation. They're going to come down, they're going to sweep everybody out who's going long, right? Who's thinking, yeah, this thing's going long, so where am I going to put my stop? I'm going to jam it up under here, I'm going to jam it up under here. They're taking out all the stops just to come around, turn it up, and go higher. That's what my thoughts are on it, and I believe we're going to see that happen today. But again, just keep in mind, there is that news coming in on Wednesday on the U.S. dollar. So if it hasn't already made a turn today, it will more than likely do it here on Wednesday during New York So, and if it's already made the turn, then this is just going to be fuel that will propel it even higher on Wednesday, is sort of how I see it. So, that's that. The US dollar index. So with that in mind, I know a lot of you guys are patiently waiting to have a look at some of these pairs. So if we are going to be short-term bearish, again, not long-term or anything coming down here, but short-term is in like the next few hours and maybe the rest of trading and into Wednesday, and then bullish, then the opposite is going to be said for the Euro USD and the pound dollar. And you can see the euro. I'm just going to talk about this just real briefly, but again, if you're just joining us, I'd mentioned one of my analysts are going to be coming on and putting signals out for the Euro USD today, assuming that the trade comes to fruition. But if you are part of F45trading.com and you're on our live Telegram instant updates, you'll get the update for the signal coming straight to your phone as soon as it comes out. So he'll be looking at this here shortly. But we do have a pocket in an area where price should logically reverse. Again, consolidation area. I would anticipate price to, come on, give me this. Basically just come up into here and then drop down, and that would be in line with the exact opposite for the US dollar index, so you can see there. But again, I'm not going to talk about the Euro USD too much because the trade signal will be coming out shortly on that one, so watch for that. I do want to talk about the pound dollar. Same similar idea. Now, before I get into this, I just want to talk about this quickly. This is the Euro GBP, the Euro pound, the cross. So in a monster consolidation, you can see this here. This, you don't have to be a chart expert to tell you that that's a consolidation, right? Pretty simple and straightforward. Now, it's in this massive consolidation area after a very, very nice bullish run up. I don't know where it's going to go. Could go up, could go down, doesn't matter. But what I'm trying to show you here is that this thing has been on, so if you look at this thing trading in ranges, and I discussed this with the Japanese yen, something very similar. And let's just say, I'm just eyeballing this, let's just say this is the middle of that range. So prices come up, traded up to consolidation, traded up to its high, drop back down, and you don't know it's a consolidation really until price comes up to here and then trades back down into here. But had you have went long, went short, went long, went long, you would have been profitable in these areas instead of thinking, oh, this thing's going to break down or run higher every time it got to that high. So we just came off of a low, and typically because the euro is in the front and the pound is in the back of this currency, if this is going higher, the pound dollar is going to be going lower. And you can see that's exactly what's been happening here. It has been going lower. Now what they're going to do is, between the Euro USD and the pound dollar, is they'll typically let one or the other run. And if this isn't your first time joining us, you would have heard me talk about this before. One will be trading in consolidation and the other one will be trading in trending. So if we're looking for a downward trend, a bearish sentiment to the pound dollar, then the Euro USD will probably be consolidating. If the Euro USD is running down or up, whichever, then the pound dollar will typically be chopping sideways. So you got to watch which one to take the trade and on which day. Now, I only bring that up because, again, just coming back to Forex Factory and having a look, there are several pound dollar news events coming out in about, what are we, 4:30 a.m. Yeah, so just a little under 4 hours from now. So you kind of got to watch to see what's going to happen. So let's just assume for a second that the The pound is going to do something similar as the Euro USD. I'm sorry, as the US dollar index. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here onto an hourly. So I'm expecting price to drive up. You see how it's just sort of going sideways here? They're doing that for a reason, and you see right above here, you've got relatively equal highs up here. You know, price kind of came through once or twice, but relatively equal highs. So right there, so there's a bunch of liquidity right above here. It's a perfect prime area for a stop rate. So what they're going to do, I believe, in about 3 hours and 40 minutes from now, 50 minutes from now, they're going to, they're probably just going to go trade sideways or just slowly chop higher or down, doesn't matter. They're going to use those news events to drive price up to here, and then they're going to sink it lower down to here. Now, what has to happen in conjunction is we need to see that reversal in the US dollar, okay? That's key. They may bring it up here and hold it up here for the rest of Tuesday's trading and into Wednesday potentially until we see that news on the US dollar on Wednesday, and then that'll be the catalyst that eventually sends it south and drops it. We're bearish. Sorry, I am bearish on the pound dollar. I think this thing is going to go down, and the first area is this blue line right here at 136.20. That's the area that I'd be looking at. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. I saw an old high over here. This is, I don't see, we're going to see a lot of bounce on this. I think it'll continue right through, but you could see a bit of a bounce at 136.55 area. So this green line and then down to the blue line, that's the target. Eventually I'd like it to get down back into this small consolidation area right in here, and then through there, and then I don't know, depending on how low or how high the US dollar index wants to go. There's a lot of liquidity down here. You can see here it's been, they made a, let's just zoom out a little bit. They've been making higher lows consecutively ever since the market hit the low down here at the end of the year in 2016, right? So you've got market creates a low and then a higher low, a higher low, higher low, higher low, higher, 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 and then on and on and on and so forth. And now we're starting to come back down, and I think we're going to start to see it scoop up some of the liquidity under here. I don't believe that this is going to be a huge correction at all, and that's why I've got the areas on this old high marked out here, which coincidentally is roughly around the same area as this consolidation. We could start to see reversals in these areas where price comes down, triggers off of it, and then trades higher. I don't know. We have to wait and watch for the markets, but I am calling up here, this old Brexit high up here, right here, these levels. I believe by the end of the year we'll be up here. Maybe even sooner. I mean, it could happen in the summer. I don't know. It wouldn't take price very long to trade up to that level from where our current levels are. That's only 1,200 pips away. Think about it, if it does, you know, on average 300 pips a week, you know, with retracements and everything like that, I mean, it'd be within that range in a few months if it just was bound and determined to go higher. But I think we are going to see some lower prices for the interim, and then a reversal will ensue, and I think we'll get up to here later on. So that's where we're going to go. As for today's trading, like I say, drop down to an hourly. Couple of levels in here. I'm just going to get rid of these stupid trend lines because they drive me crazy. This one is no longer relevant. You can see what they did here. Okay, so what I'm going to draw out is I don't think they're going to get up here. This was the stop run to grab all the stops above here that they had done. They actually went a little bit higher than what I had anticipated. I thought they were just going to come up here, you know, 20 or 30 pips above these two highs here. They actually ran about 50 pips higher, I believe, 60, almost 70 pips higher, and kind of tagged up just about into the bottom of that consolidation level there. So this was the stop run. They've since come back. They tried a failure swing here, sold off, and it's been chopping sideways. Now there's a small area of liquidity right up in here. So I think all they need to do is pop it up, you know, again, 10, 15, maybe 20 pips higher, and that would bring us kind of back into these old lows over in here. So I'm going to put a price tag on the chart. See what price we're at here. You know what? That's pretty close. 139 even. Where does that bring us on that consolidation level? Right to the bottom of those lows. And you can see here that 139 big figure level, they've worked that level a few times. Right, so you can see in here, I might have talked about this last, so assume this is 139 big figure. Just get that exact because 139. Okay, and I'm going to make this a red line so you can see it a little bit better. My charts start to kind of look like a Christmas tree after a while. I try to keep it between red and blue, but anyway. So they've come up, they've ran through the 139 big figure here, here, came down, just about tested it here, ran off, came back down, ran through it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's a pretty significant area. I've talked about it before in the past few weeks. That 139 big figure, I think they're going to want to hit it one more time before they go lower. So don't be surprised if you see price come up and trickle up to here. Those news drivers pop it up. May even go through it a couple of pips. I don't know. I would suggest that if you, so what I'm getting at here is looking at some shorts, and I would, if you're going to get in at 139 even, I would definitely do a 30 pip stop minimum, maybe even a 40 pip just in case they want to run it up a little bit higher. I don't think they need to get up this high personally, because price has done a good area at you know, creating the price range in here, and then they did a failure swing up and then down. So guys, just give me 1 second if you could. Apologies, everybody. I just had to answer a quick message there. Where was I? Yeah, so I don't think price needs to come up too high past the 139 big figure, because they have worked that level in here quite a bit, and then this was again the failure swing that drove it down. So I think if they're going to come up, they're just going to do a quick pop up, 139, maybe 139.10, and then I think we'll see price start to roll over from there. But I would, like I say, just be careful and put your stop a little bit higher than normal. I typically only do about a 30 pip stop, but for this one, I'd like to give it a little bit more. Reduce your risk, though. If you want to increase your stop, you have to reduce your risk size that you're trading with. That's very important. And we are all trading on demo accounts, and I'm not doing anything live, obviously, and I'm assuming you're all doing everything in a demo account as well. So I'm not worried about you risking something you don't have, because it's all demo. It's all fake anyway. This is all just for practice. So let's look at what our target will be if we get this. Again, price could just want to come up and just chop sideways in here for another day until that news on Wednesday comes out for the US dollar, and then it'll kick over. But we'll see what happens there. So and then again, targets, the lows over here, you see these lows over in here, that blue line right there basically. So 137.40 would be a good area. Even this low right here would be a good one. What does that low come in at? On my feed here, that is 137.63. So why don't we say this as a healthy target? 137.60. So that would be about 140 pips. That would be a great range if we can capture that. That's a full week trading range right there. If you could do 140 pips a week, you would be growing your account week in, week out. You would be growing your account exponentially throughout the year. So you'd have no problems being profitable doing that. So that's the pound dollar. That's what I'm looking at. Again, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Nothing's going to happen, I don't imagine, for a few hours yet, because that news hasn't come out for a number of hours yet. So we're going to watch and wait to see, but I'm expecting price to come up and then we'll roll over. So, any questions, guys? Any pairs that you particularly want me to discuss, just throw it up in the chat area here and I'll have a look at it. United States dollar, Japanese yen. Just real quick. Again, this isn't a pair that I regularly trade. One of my analysts actually looks after this pair for me. Every now and then I like to discuss it. It's kind of got me interested now just because of late. It's coming to a very significant area of reflection rate in here. Price had come up, traded off this consolidation area, and then since reversed. Now I want to see if it wants to continue to the downside, or if we are actually, or if we're actually going to continue to stay in this overall consolidating pattern in here. I personally believe we're going to drop down. We'll probably take out this, let me zoom in here. We'll probably take out this low that was created right here. Maybe even test this low, and then we'll start to see price climb back up again. That's why I've got these boxes in here. I'm assuming that we're going to see another trade up to these consolidation areas in here, same as here, and then and go higher, and then come up into here, and who knows what it's going to do from there. But if that is correct, again, that would support a rally in the US dollar dropping down. So if we drop down again into today's trading and maybe even into tomorrow's trading, the US yen will do the same thing. It'll drop down, Now the yen is, relatively speaking, the yen future contract itself is actually experiencing some pretty decent strength right now. So who knows? This could be the start of a new downtrend on the US yen. I don't personally think so. I think it'd take a little bit more than that to drive this thing out of the consolidation area. But we'll wait and see what happens. So I just kind of wanted to discuss that real quick. That's kind of what I'm anticipating, a drive lower down into here potentially. Again, take out this low here, and then we'll probably see this thing go higher. So we'll watch for that. US CAD is seeing the same type of idea as the US dollar. This pair being the USD is the front currency in this basket. Whatever the US dollar does, the US CAD will do. So if the US CAD is going, if the US dollar is going down, US CAD is going down. If the US dollar is going up, US CAD is going up. And you can see here we're seeing that upward movement. And the reason, I think what we're going to see is price trade above here eventually, as you can see by this red line. And what that's delineating, I believe we're going to see higher prices. And right now, price is basically doing exactly what the US dollar is doing. It hit a high up here, and then it's just slowly starting to trade softer now. Depending on how low we want to go, I've got some areas marked out here on the chart where I think we could see some price reversals at. There being one, and potentially here. Now just keep in mind, there are some pockets of interest back down in this area in here. I don't necessarily know that we would need to come all the way back down there, because price has been traded fairly efficiently in this range right here, and then this range right here, and it expanded out nicely from these two ranges. And so we could just be coming down to take out the lows here, and then just trade back down to here. And this is just a small consolidation area that I'll identify right in here. So we could just be coming down, trading that down there off of one of this line here is not needed. Trade down, and then should go higher. There's a little bit of news on US CAD as well too coming up in the week, so just be cognizant of that. But when we watch for a trade on this, we will send that out to you, but it probably won't be today. Probably more than likely be, I think there's some news coming up. When was the news on the CAD? Let me just, while we're talking about it, probably look to put out a signal on the US CAD on, where are we here? I saw some news here somewhere. Thursday's got some ADP non-farm employment changes. I thought I saw some bigger news on there. I could be wrong. Oh yeah, there's some Governor Council member speaking on Thursday, and then Friday's got a couple. I don't necessarily know that this thing, if it reverses, if it's going to need that news, then I may just need to trigger off of all that US dollar news coming out on Wednesday. So anyway, same type of idea, looking for a drop down and then a retracement higher, and ultimately this is going to be our goal up here. I don't think this wick was a failure. It did trade into here, but I think it's just coming back down to grab longs, and then it'll resume higher. So I'll watch for price to see if it wants to bounce off of these lines in here. And there is another area potentially down to this old high back in here, this consolidation area, where price it's possible, it may want to come down to. So we'll watch for that. But watch for a signal to come out from that probably in the next day or two, I would say. If it doesn't happen during London today, it'll probably be tomorrow. Aussie dollar, if you were part of the live session last Friday, you would have got into a nice little trade on this one here, where we had discussed a short down. Wait, let me just, I'm second guessing myself. Where was that trade? I didn't mark it on the chart here. 12th, Tuesday, Monday, Friday. Was it a long? I'm second guessing myself, guys. I can't remember. We took a trade on this last week, and now I can't think of for the life of me where it was or what it was. I put it out there, and it worked out to about 40 pips. It was a nice little range for the day that we managed to capture. If you yeah, Brian, I'll talk about Bitcoin here in about 30 seconds here. It's on my list, so just bear with me and I'll get to Bitcoin. So the Aussie dollar, anyway, we're going to see probably these highs up here tested if we don't see price start to roll over from here. And I'll just zoom in a bit. Yeah, I think there's some highs up in here that we could see getting tested if we don't see it happen fairly quickly. It's starting to wick up here, wick, creating a nice set of equal highs up here. It may just kind of pop down, run up quick, and then drop right from here. So we could be looking at a few pips to take from there, but we'll have a look at that in a bit. Not really interesting me too much, the Aussie dollar, but we are at kind of an inflection level here where we could see a nice rollover and then trade back down to that level there. The Aussie doesn't really excite me too much. Like, that's a 200 pip range. That's great. And I'd be inclined to take a short pretty much anywhere from current levels, to be honest. You know, I would, let me just see here. Let's say you took one. Let's say we waited for price to trade up. You don't be in a rush to do anything, obviously. You know, wait until at least a couple hours until London opens. See what price wants to do here. But 78.80. If price wants to get up to 79, I'd be surprised again. Maybe looking to take out some liquidity up here. If it just continues to keep going higher, just watch this. But anywhere in this area, you see how price is traded back to this consolidation area up here. We may just see a little bit higher from it, and then we should see price rolling over. If price goes higher than the middle of this up candle here, then chances are the move is going to be invalid, and you want to get out. But I would wait for the maximum height on this if possible. Come up to 0.7880 potentially. Look for a short. If the price gets past 0.79, which is pretty much the top of that candle, which is only about 20 pips, so it's not a huge range. You could put a 30 stop pip on that, get in at 0.7080, put a 30 pip stop, and be fairly comfortable with that. That price shouldn't need to get higher than that range there. If it hasn't already hit the high, you could look at that too, like, wick. We may see one more push higher, and you could even get short. If the price wants to pop its head above this high over here, you could get short, and then I would put your targets below market price. I would suggest probably a good target would be on the week would be somewhere right around here for the Aussie, but that's at 77.30, so that would be a great range if you pick up that up. Moving on, Brian, yeah, I can go over Bitcoin here right now. So if I don't know if you've joined my sessions before. No, and if you're part of our live trading group, we just put a signal up for the Euro USD. So you can navigate over to that. I'm not going to discuss that, but we had just put up a signal for that. So I will not steal that away from the live members who are actually paying to be here. So you can jump on and check that out if you are part of our group. For those of you not, we're going to discuss Bitcoin, and we're going to see continued downward trend on Bitcoin. It's actually on the daily here. I'm going to zoom in a bit. So I've called it kind of up to this level here, and I was actually hoping price would come up a little bit higher to the, I'm going to refine this, I'm going to go down a little bit lower if I can. So I was kind of hoping price would have got above here before we started to trade off. It may still do that. You see how price has been running up, and then it's just kind of been slowly making, very, very slowly making higher highs. Took out some liquidity up here and dropped, came back up, took out some more, dropped a bit, and now it's really loading off these areas. I wouldn't be surprised if price did this, if it came up, popped up into here, and maybe potentially even into this consolidation area here, right there. And actually, I'll just grab this line here, kind of at the low of right there, as that would be a good target if price got up to there. I'd be looking at getting short right up in here, because I think, again, like I say, I think we're going lower on Bitcoin, and then I'd be looking at price going down this way here. That's what I'm looking for Bitcoin. So if you're a Bitcoin trader and you're hoping that Bitcoin is going to go higher, you're right, it will. It'll probably do this move, but ultimately it's going to go lower. And I believe, and just for completeness sake here, that this low, they failed to take out the low here, this blue line. They failed to take it out on this drive down, and then they pushed higher. This is just a false rally, guys. Don't get excited. This is not a rally that's going to take this thing back over 20,000. We are going to see lower prices on Bitcoin. And if you don't believe me, that's fine. This is free advice. Don't believe me. That you don't have to. But I can tell you, I have predicted the moves ever since it hit the top up here. And I was wrong on one thing. I thought this thing was going to hit 20,000, and it just failed short of 20,000 by about $800, just under $800. So I was wrong on one thing, but I was not wrong. And you can go back to all my live sessions since I started talking about Bitcoin. I said price is coming all the way down here. I said the first area that it's going to hit is right in here, and it smashed through that. And I said the second area it's going to hit is right in here, and it just about got that last week. So I think this week we're going to see the final sort of knockdown. It may not happen this week either. I mean, I don't know the exact days or anything that it's going to happen. It could be next week as well too, because you can see what they do. Like they'll have a big drop, and then they'll just kind of chop the thing a little bit, and then they'll have another big drop, and then they'll chop it a bit. We could get a couple of weeks of chop. So like in here, for instance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 2 weeks, 2 straight weeks, Monday to Friday, basically, for all intents and purposes, of trading in here. before that finally dropped down the next leg. We could see the same thing in here. I mean, price has already been, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in this small little range in here. And then I think, it could be anywhere between now and another 5 days. But we'll eventually see the subsequent rollover, and it'll be quick. It'll be like this. It'll be, a couple of big down candles, and then it'll start to wick, and it'll take it down hard. And these lows under here, I think, are going to be targeted next. And if those lows go under here, then there is another area under at 3,000. I don't personally believe, let me put it this way, I hope it doesn't get down that low. I'm a Bitcoin enthusiast myself. I like Bitcoin. I think this is the currency of the future. And I think all the money that you have in your pocket, if you even have paper bills or plastic bills in your pocket anymore, which, I mean, I haven't had carried, physical money in my pocket forever. And if I do, it's a rarity. I don't go to the bank machine and pull out paper bills. I mean, it's all, credit card, or it's all, bank card. It's all credits. And, Bitcoin is a very, very secure, stable form of that. It's hard to manipulate to a point. Bitcoin is manipulated, but I think this is the wave of the future, and I think once they get some more regulation into the market, it's going to stabilize quite a bit, and then that's when you'll see it to steadily increase. But this thing's just been on such a meteoric rise. It has to cool off. It has to come back down to reality. It just can't keep going supernova, otherwise it will pop and then it'll never come back. So this is a healthy, natural price structure, but I do believe we're going to be going lower on it. So unfortunately, my chart, what I want to do is I just want to do one thing. I don't know if I can take a fib on it, but I just wanted to do a real quick, I'm just going to go over to TradingView real quick. BTC USD. I don't want the US dollar. There it is. One second, guys. Sorry. Sorry about that, guys. My Bitcoin chart on my MT4 platform only goes back to a certain date, so I just wanted to switch over to TradingView and see if I can get a further date range, because what I wanted to do was actually run a fib off of it and just get an idea as to what the amount of the price fluctuation from low to high that it's given back, and see if we can find some confluences in it. And I'm just, I don't use TradingView ever, so I apologize. Just bear with me for 1 second. I'm just trying to find where the hell the fib is on this stupid thing. Indicators, fundamentals, economy. That's not what I'm looking at. And I just kind of doing this off the cuff here, guys. I just wanted to see. I'm just doing some studying on my own and seeing what the options are. But I don't see. I don't see that this thing is a fit. Do any of you use TradingView at all? If you do, let me know where the fib is. Fibonacci. Well, anyway, I guess I can't seem to find it here. I'm sure it's here somewhere. I'll be doing a live session on Thursday, so I will come back to this and I'll keep this in mind. But what I wanted to do is basically show you, what are we here? I basically wanted to take a Fibonacci and I wanted to run it from the low and take it all the way up to the high. And I can't, what is this chart doing? And then see what the retracement level on it is. You see the retracement level down here, like I think we still, typical retracements will happen anywhere from the 60% level up to the 80% level. And I don't necessarily think we're there quite yet. I think we still have a bit of range left to go on it. And you can see here, like this low was still intact over here. So the next area that I was drawing attention to was the low here, and then I wanted to see what was going to happen when it comes back to this consolidation area here. I don't think they need to go lower than this, just because they came back down to here and touched off this consolidation area down here. So I think if price sweeps down here, we could come to the top of this range, which would be sub 5,000. We'd be looking for potential reversals in that neighborhood. But we've got to wait, watch, and see what happens, because if the price comes down past this 4,100 level, then we're going to be looking at to see if they come down and want to sweep the lows at 3,000. And if they come down lower than that, then we're going to be looking at sub 2,000, and who knows where it could go from there. Again, I don't think it's going to come down to that, but we got to look at the market. We're definitely going to go down, and we could come up here just a little bit more to the 92.56 level, and then drop down, but we will come down. So just wanted to kind of throw that out there, only because my chart didn't go back quite as far. But what I wanted to do, I wanted to take a Fibonacci, and again, I apologize, this chart and this data feed for this only comes down to the almost the 3,000 mark. So I mean, you can take a fib from low to high here, and you can see we've come back down to the 70-80% retracement level on this move here, but there's about another 3,000 pip dollar range that I need to drop this thing down in order to anchor it further, which will drive this number lower, 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 lower. So we're not there yet. And I'm not necessarily suggesting that because it hits a specific level on the Fibonacci retracement tool that we are going to get an automatic reversal. Price does not work that way. It doesn't care about Fibonacci's. It doesn't care about Elliott waves. It doesn't care about trend lines. It has no regard for any of the indicators that we put on our charts whatsoever. Price only cares about one thing, and that is price levels, inefficient ranges, liquidity, you know, where's all the money sitting, things of that nature. So don't fool yourself to think that a trend line is going to hold up. So a lot of people are doing this, right? A lot of people are drawing that trend line on this. Well, this will hold the price here, and then it'll drop down again. Well, a lot of times it doesn't. So you just kind of got to watch what you're doing with that. But anyway, Brian, did that answer any of your questions on Bitcoin? If you have any specific question on Bitcoin, now's the time to ask, because I'm going to wrap up this session here pretty quickly. So I'm going to talk about one other commodity here, and I'm just going to quickly skim through a couple others, and then I'm going to wrap it up. So I'll watch if you got another question on Bitcoin. Now is your time. Ask it. I'll give you about 5 minutes here, and then I'm going to be moving on. So that's my thoughts on Bitcoin. And again, just want to come back. I think we'll be driving a little bit higher to come up to the consolidation range here, and then I think the drop off will ensue from there. But just keep in mind, right? Like, look at the day dividers. We've been in this range now for 1, 2, 3, 4. We're coming in the 5th day on this range here, and it's still just kind of chopping sideways, not doing much at all. Just don't be surprised if it pops its head up, grabs the liquidity above here, and then runs down. But it could take another 2, 3, 4. Could happen at the end of of the trading week. Could happen next week. I don't know when it'll happen. So you just kind of got to keep your eye on that. Set an alert. I don't know if you guys use alerts on your MT4 platform, but if you don't know how, I hope you're not in too much trouble, Ryan. I don't. I'm assuming you're regarding Bitcoin with that comment. You know, don't fret. I mean, it will go back up. I believe Bitcoin will hit 50,000 one day. It could even do it this year. I mean, look at the rise on this thing, right? Like, don't get too concerned about it. If you're, you know, about to have a margin call on your account, I would suggest taking what you've got off the table now. If you're in a losing position, don't let it get worse. Don't think price is going to just start running higher from here. You know, I would suggest you mitigate, maybe take some positions off if you can, reduce your risk. Yeah, unfortunately, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I do believe this is going to go lower. I don't think this was the final drive down. I think we're going to get one more lower, and but you know, we'll see. Hopefully, I'm wrong, and for your case, hopefully, I'm wrong. Anyway, that is Bitcoin. So again, look for small drive higher, and then a price to resume to the downside. Crude oil, I actually had a nice little trade on this today. It was actually. So I was watching price. So this was price on Friday. It had closed down, wicked down, and then traded softer and came back up. Monday opened, traded higher, and then boom, price ripped up. I'll just zoom in here a little bit. Price had this nice big bull candle, and then this one right here was the tip off right there. You see how it came up and just came right above these two highs right here? It's grabbing liquidity. It's just, and even by a couple of pips, like the high of this candle came in at 60.77 on my feed. The high over here is 60.74. So literally 3 pips came up, tick, and then straight down. I didn't get in. I wish I could tell you I got in at this high. I didn't. I actually got in right in here. It was it was a few hours after the move. I wasn't looking at the chart, and then I came in. I saw price came up, and it did the failure swing in here. And I watched this candle develop, because when I saw this candle, it was a big bold candle. So I wasn't sure. This was the tip off. But I wanted to make sure that price was going to drive down through this area in here. So I waited for the next candle. It came up, it failed here, it wicked down, and then came back up, and I ended up getting in somewhere in here in this region, and then you saw the price, and I actually got out. It's actually interesting. I literally got out. So this came, I think it was like within the low in this candle was 59.19. I got out at 59.25, so I literally missed the absolute low by about 5 pips. So it was an awesome trade today. But it just happened so quick. I didn't put it out. I should have, but it just kind of happened quick, and I wasn't too sure. It's hard to trade. You see these ranges right in here. Like you see price right in here. How it's really thin bar candles. You know, a big bear candle there, but just thin, and then just wick. I know overall, I know where price is going, and that was really the only basis I had behind that trade, other than where it just kind of popped up and took the liquidity over here. But you can see, I mean, this is created a high, had a false rally here, traded down, created another lower high here, and then we had the trade-off ensue. And I'm predicting lower on crude oil, and so I think prices are going to come down. I think it's going to take out the low here. At least I want it to anyway. At the very least, I want to see it come out and sweep out the candle lows, the bodies of there, and then resume higher if it's going to. But I think we could see lower prices still yet on oil, so I'm going to wait to see for that to develop. But back to the trade, I have an overall market direction in mind, and so when price did this and wicked down and didn't have a willingness to go back up there, I knew that's the tip-off point, and I got in for a short, and I wrote it down. And one contract in my demo account, you know, it was over almost a $700 profit. So It didn't take very long. It was only about a 5 hour trade or something like that. So it was a great little trade that I took. But that's oil. I'm expecting further continued price downwards, but I just want to see how prices rebounded off this blue line nicely and traded higher. I want to see if it's got a willingness. I wanted to see it close this gap in here for sure, but I don't know if that's it. It may want to come back up a bit higher. So I'm going to put out a trade signal for oil, but I want to see more of what Tuesday has to develop, and I might even just wait until Wednesday to do it, because we could just see sideways prices until crude oil inventories come out on Wednesday. So just keep that in mind. Again, if you're an oil trader, you can see here crude oil inventories at 10:30 a.m. on Wednesday. So I might wait for Wednesday to develop to see where price is going before putting out a trade on oil. So just kind of keep that in mind if you are a crude oil trader. Welcome to the club. But I think we could see some strength before it does go down. I just don't want to bet the bank on it yet. So I'll let you know on that one how that one pans out. And that's, I don't really have anything else I want to discuss. If you guys have any other questions, now's the time. I'm going to wrap this trading session up in about 2 minutes. I'm just going to briefly review copper and a couple other commodities. But again, if you got a question, now's the time, because I am going to close this session down. Gold, one of my other analysts looks at gold. So if you are a gold trader, join us on Friday mornings, where he will analyze gold in detail, and during the New York session. Actually, you know what? I want to ask you guys a real quick question. If you could just put one or the other in the box in the chat window, and just let me know what your preference is. Do you prefer trading London Open sessions? If you like London Open sessions, which are at 12 a.m. New York time, just type in the chat LO. If you like trading the New York Open session, which is starting at 8 a.m. New York time, just put in the chat window NY. I just kind of want to get a bit of a poll and get a bit of a gauge from all the people that are following us as to which time frame they prefer to trade, and because there's setups on both time frames, so there's opportunity everywhere. But I just want to find out where more people would gravitate towards, and get kind of an idea on that. So if you wouldn't mind just taking a quick second and throwing that in there, just London Open LO or New York NY. And let me know what works best for you guys, and then we can try to customize our schedule to meet your wants. But and that basically just kind of boils down to what time of the day do you like to trade. If you like to trade in the mornings, depending on where you are in the world, or if you like to trade in the afternoons, that's really all it boils, or in the late evenings. I mean, it's really all it boils down to. Again, just put a LO in the chat window if you want to trade London Open, if you like that, if you prefer that time frame, or an NY for New York if you like to trade the New York session, which starts at 8 a.m. New York time every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So just let me know. I'll watch the chat there for that. And so far nobody's putting anything in, so I guess you don't care. Anyway, I'm going to talk about copper real quick, and I was actually quite surprised by the reaction at this level here on copper. I was hoping it was going to hit this red line, but I've seen the reaction so far ensue. Prices trading higher. I finally finished, for all of those that you are reading, my commodity analysis, and I've got my picks for the grains, the meats, the metals, and the softs that I'm and the energies that I've got for the market leaders, where I think the price is going to be going for those respectable commodities. And I will be sharing that in a video this week. I've got everything. I've got all the research done. It took me a while to put together. It took me about 2 days of research to do, but I'm going to be discussing it and just kind of talking about the leaders, the current price levels of a lot of them, and And so I'm going to be posting that in a video, an in-depth video. It'll probably be a longer video, probably about half an hour, 45 minutes, but I'm just going to talk about some of those picks, because the thing about commodities, trading commodities, futures prices, is that if you can get in at a logical level, like let's just go take a, actually go back to crude oil, for instance. If you would have taken a short up here, let me just give you an idea. Let's say you got it short at, let's say you got short at 65, just for argument's sake, a round number, right up here, okay? Somewhere where 65, right there. And you took a short, and you took one contract, and you rode price all the way down to a logical reversal level. Let's say it was this blue level right there, color right there. Like that's 600 pips, or 600, or basically $6 worth of movement. Okay, so from $65 down to $59. One contract, a 1 penny move in the crude oil market equates to $10. So if you have a 600-cent movement times $10, anybody guess what that is? That's $6,000 for one contract. I mean, you can, depending on how much money you have in your trading account, in your demo trading account, should clarify, that's a movement of $6,000, a gain, a potential gain of $6,000 in 1, 2, 3, 4 in a week. That's huge, and that's one contract. I mean, you could trade up to 100 contracts if you have enough money in your account. But so that's why I like trading the commodities. So this video that I'm going to put together, that's what that's going to consist of, is all of the best picks of the greens, the meats, the softs, the metals, all of those put together. We're talking cotton, cattle, to natural gas, to corn. So I'm going to do my picks of all the top ones coming up, of the logical areas where we should see a reaction and where the trade may ensue, coming up for the next couple of months. And hopefully we can get moves like this. That would, this was a quick move, obviously over a week it took, but maybe you could get a move like that over a month, or, an even bigger move over the same time period, and really capitalize on those. So we can watch for those. And that's why I was talking about copper here. I was kind of surprised at the level that it hit, that it had reversed. I'm still not convinced that price isn't going to continue to go down, and only because of all of this wicking action in here. I believe we're going to see continued prices lower, so this may just be a false rally higher before they drop it down lower. I've got some levels down here that I'm interested in. Cocoa had another big down day again here today. And again, I wasn't watching this pair. I'm looking for a little bit lower to come down into this area here before price goes higher, if it does go higher. So I'll be watching for that to come out. So if you're a cocoa trader, just stick around, because I can put some analysis out for that. Nothing going on coffee or cotton, not interested. Sugar hit an interesting point here. I was watching to see what happened. This is why you don't want to take trades instantly, just because it hits a level. You got to wait and watch to see what price does. I said a couple of times, I'm interested to see what happens here and what happens here. I'm looking for longs on this pair. So if price comes down to this level here and doesn't see the reaction that I wanted to see, I'm going to wait and watch to see if price wants to trade to the next level, and then see what the reaction is from there. So the reaction didn't occur here. Now we wait and watch this level here. Nothing much on OJ that I want to talk about. The Dow and pound yen, we're actually going to have a trade for all of our subscribers. We're actually going to have a pound yen trade on our site this week. So what you can watch for that, because we're coming down to a pretty logical area right now where we should start to see price doing some stuff. So it could get interesting on this one. So anyway, with that, I am going to leave you. I appreciate your time, everybody. I will be back myself personally for Thursday morning London Open. Our other analyst will be with you tomorrow for London Open at 12 a.m. New York time. So I will tweet and post all of the links so you can make sure to join us for there. If you haven't done so already, click down on the bottom right-hand corner here on my logo and make sure you click subscribe, and then you can get all the updates for instant updates when we go live next. so you don't miss another live trading session. So I apologize I don't have an actual trade for you guys today other than this one here that I'm looking at, the pound dollar. If you were with me last Friday, I think there was 2 or 3 trades there that I was looking at, oil being one of them, and the Aussie dollar that we took, and we got about 140 pips out of that movement on Friday. So you got to watch these live session, guys, because sometimes it's kind of like this where there's just, you're waiting for a price to do its thing and not a lot happens. It's kind of like watching paint dry, and then you get some sessions that, you know, price is moving, it's going to the levels, it's reacting, you're getting in, you're getting the trades, you're capturing the pips, and it's exciting. But you just don't know what the day is going to bring until it comes. So I apologize. It was probably a little bit dull for you today. Hopefully you got a little bit of insight as to where the market is going to be heading going down the road for the week. And with that, we will see you tomorrow, same time, same place, at midnight New York time for the London Open session. We will talk to you guys then. Have a great day.